Well, we want to share a story for this holiday, and this is a actually very famous story by a man named Yud Lamed Peretz, an Israeli writer, but we're telling it a little bit differently than he told it, but it's still the same story. And to help me out with that is going to be Cantor Pincus, and Sadie and Elijah are going to help us out. So come on up, Sadie and Elijah. In a small town lived a cantor with a beautiful voice. When she prayed, people wept with joy. She was beloved by the synagogue, and they thought her voice went straight to God. However, they noticed one unusual thing about her. On Yom Kippur, the cantor was always late for the morning service. Where did she go? What could keep her from coming to services? She wasn't at home. She wasn't at the synagogue. Where was she? Who has an idea where the cantor might have been that always was having her late for services? Who has an idea? Yeah. Buying food for the Yom Kippur break fast. Yeah. Where else might the cantor have been that was always making her late every time? Swimming? Swimming. Took her morning swim, doesn't give up her exercise. Hattie? At the farm? Yeah. Sleeping in? Forgiving people. That's a good. Well, the people debated and finally decided. They all talked it out, and they decided what the cantor must be doing on the morning of Yom Kippur is that she went up into the heavens and sang for the angels and God with her beautiful voice. But there were two people in the congregation who did not believe that. They didn't think the cantor did that at all, and they wanted to know the truth. And they were from Texas, and their names were Dallas and Ladybird. They didn't trust those northern canners, and they thought the idea of going up to heavens was all hogwash. They wanted the truth about the cantor, and they were going to find out no matter what. So Dallas and Ladybird snuck over to the cantor's house while she was at services, and they entered in through an open window. Now, entering someone else's home without permission is called breaking and entering, and it is not a good thing to do. But they wanted answers, and they were going to find out for themselves. Well, Ladybird and Dallas looked around the cantor's home for somewhere to hide. They looked behind the curtains. No, that was too obvious. Maybe they should hide in the closet. No, there was no room there. Finally, they hid behind the cantor's bed. And when the cantor entered, she didn't see anything unusual because she was very tired from having done a very special kol nidre that night. So she climbed into bed and took her favorite teddy bear and went to sleep. And she snored. Morning came and a rooster crowed. Let's hear that rooster. Excellent. Left over from Rosh Hashanah. Good rooster. And the cantor got up, and the Texans stayed hidden and watched her. And they were watching her carefully. And the cantor got up so early at dawn. Why did she get up so early? Well, she got up, but she laid out her clothes on a chair. And it wasn't the nice, beautiful clothes she might wear in the synagogue, but it was an old shirt, a big, heavy coat, boots, a hat, and an axe. Why did the cantor dress like this for Yom Kippur? And why did the cantor need an axe? The cantor headed out, but she didn't walk towards synagogue. Instead, she went to the edge of town and into the forest. And Ladybird and Dallas followed after her, sneaking behind her the whole time. She walked through trees for a long while, down one road and then over up a hill, and over a stream and around a pond. And finally, the cantor stopped in front of a tree and began to chop it down. She chopped, and it was clearly hard work. When she was done, she took the bundles of wood and tied them all together and carried it on her way. Soon, the cantor stood outside a small, broken-down shack, and the voice of an old man called out, "Who's there?" The cantor called back that it was Pincus, her neighbor. The kids were confused. The cantor lived far away. She wasn't this old man's neighbor, and they had never heard her call herself Pincus. The man responded, "Please go away. I was sleeping, and I have no money to give you." The cantor smiled. "Don't worry about the money," she said, and she gave the wood to the man. The kids looked through the window to watch what the cantor was doing. And Lady Bird and Dallas saw her put the wood on the stove and light a warm fire. And as she did so, she sang a song from the Yom Kippur service. As the fire heated up in the room, the old man lying in bed began to smile. He joined in the singing, and his pale face became warm with color. "Thank you," the old man said. "You have always been so kind to me, and you never take any money for the wood. You make my life better, especially today on this holy day." The cantor left the cottage. Dallas and Lady Bird saw she headed back home and prepared for services which she was already late for. They're good at sneaking. At the synagogue, everyone wanted to know the real story about the cantor. Everybody surrounded Dallas and Lady Bird and asked them lots of questions. Where does the cantor go? What does she do? Is she sick? Does she sleep late? Does she eat a secret breakfast? Does she take extra long time in getting dressed? Finally, they asked what they really wanted to know. Does the cantor actually go up into the heavens and sing before the angels? Dallas and Lady Bird listened quietly and responded, "The cantor doesn't go up into the heavens before services.
She goes even higher."
Let's hear it for our volunteers.